So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming. My name is Jan Miškov, and I will be talking about game-based teaching mediated by e-learning resources. I would like to start with conceptual framing, some kind of basis, which are important as a frame or context for further evaluation or further presentation. I think it is only appropriate that we are here in this time and place speaking about digital games and learning, how can they be used for such purposes. In an effort to innovate the school learning system, my talk proposes an alternative educational model as a way of designing and creating playful e-courses. I suggest a shift from the instructive linear approach to games, a shift which I believe provides an ample opportunity to develop perhaps even more effective learning environment based on the teaching principles incorporated in digital games as learning systems. It is appropriate to remember the name of John Amos Comenius, who is, in this respect, precedes development of pedagogical thinking about for centuries. Indeed, his philosophy contained in the Latin conjunction schola ludus led me to the idea of cultivating the educational potential of digital games in the Czech Republic, where school by play has its roots. This Czech educator, philosopher, and theologian felt that, in contrast with contemporary teaching practices, pupils should be able to not only mechanically recite memorized curriculum, but really understand what they are learning. For example, in order for the textbook to be engaging and accessible for children, he provided it with numerous illustrations. He promoted the visual type of education that conveys to us the whole picture of the world and gives us the precursor of abstract and theoretical knowledge. Comenius was the first in the European context who stressed the importance of games and argued against specialization and mechanization fulfilling life. A similar idea was taken up by the German writer Friedrich Schiller. According to him, the play is a human instinct, which alone is capable of producing human abilities. Schiller himself claimed that a person is a person as a human being, only there where playing. Homo ludens is a Latin term describing a person who develops their skills and abilities through play. He discovers his competencies and also evolves through them. His playfulness is based on the freedom of choice and action. It presupposes open thinking. The development of an individual happens by acquiring experience, which he then connects to experience that he already has. And the homonymous concept of a playing man was made famous by a Dutch cultural scientist and anthropologist, Johan Huizinga, in his work Homo Ludens, which is a treatise on the culture's significance of game. In this book, Huizinga links the existence of game a priori to culture, trying to show that our cultural systems, like politics, science, religion, law, originally developed on their own in a playful way of behavior over time and through institutionalized rituals. Games became serious acts, and after their rules had been introduced or sedimented, there was no need to change them anymore. So, what is today's teacher's role as we know it from days of John Amos Comenius? I would argue that nowadays a teacher provides a guidance to his or her students. I see him as a designer of an e-course who is using ludic principles and needs to fulfill higher requirements for technical competence. He's sharing information and material resources with students. He's encouraging learning and thinking. So what are these educational principles which can be identified in modern digital games? I see digital games as a structure of relations between elements of a learning system. They provide submission of an explicit information on demand and just in time. They reward for achieving set targets. Digital games provides usually several possible routes and provides even safe learning environment. Through trial and error we are learning, and because of negotiable consequences of our actions. Another principle is discovery principle, which motivates for experimentation and curiosity. Digital games communicate their content via multimodal ways of texts, pictures, sounds, and so on. And now, what are gamification principles? They are related to design e-learning courses. They are trying to portray learning and work as a game. They are measuring progress of players and offering incentives to students. For example, bonus points for the best work submitted to the teacher. Digital games are excellent at scoring, rewarding people who compare themselves on leaderboards, which can be seen as a status of display. This can lead to competition or cooperation if we have team play-based games where you can try to higher the score together. Digital games provide immediate feedback because of self-evaluation and self-assessment. Player or students is supposed to self-evaluate and self-assessment himself or herself, and then trying to improve himself or herself. Another really famous concept is flow, which is about creating challenges which are on the brink or on the edge of competence of students, of players, but not too hard to evoke frustration. But it's enough challenge for them to fulfill the goal of the task. An e-course has a structure similar to digital games, I would argue, because they are structures of relations between elements of a learning system. E-learning tools or agendas share similar modular structure. They are parts of the interconnected system, operated by rules and gameplay mechanism. They allow multivariate interaction, synchronous and asynchronous communication, two-way feedback between the main actors of the learning process, and sometimes even cooperation with other participants. I see e-course as a magic circle which can be overlapped, it's not closed, contrary to Heisinga's view, in that sense that knowledge and results from activity of the online group can be transferred outside or even between students participated in the group. We use communications tools like information system of Masaryk University or Facebook groups to communicate with our students. We give them several homeworks which are related to study of culture, to several epochs from history, and it's based on the countercultures like high or low subculture, and they are finding examples. So this is a module which we were creating, and our students, through cooperative learning or education, they are trying to fulfill those blank holes which are not fulfilled yet. But it's a project, ongoing project, and their works can be immortalized if they will be good enough. In terms of engagement and motivation, students usually want grades or credits or written feedback, personal consultation or scholarship as a main motivators, to be appreciated for their work. And I mentioned the concept of cooperative education earlier because in our case it's like harvesting the collective knowledge, assembling the information database which students can then use for their own purposes. There is the transfer of knowledge between the group and outside of it. Meanings and knowledge are distributed among participants. So I've conducted this survey among students of our course, Introduction to Study of Culture. You can see one of the questions: do you perceive game elements in e-learning as meaningful? And for about 73% of respondents see game elements in e-learning as meaningful. I have other statistic here just for your information. 93% have their own computer with access to internet. 83% uses it almost on daily basis. 92% like to work with PC. And 74% do not use an e-reader. 69% express their creativity in terms the question tasked if they had an opportunity to express creativity while doing their homework. The same goes for 73% proposed own interaction in their submission. 49% perceives the course on an average difficulty curve. 51% do not use educational programs. And 78% would welcome more interactive elements in e-learning. This is a survey from gamesandlearning.org. I just wanted to show that involving digital games in instructions is, according to this, most beneficial to low-performing students in terms of how to engage them in the activity and in the work and study. So, in conclusion, the gamified e-course, this approach can lead to more effective work and study, active and critical learning in terms of negotiating rules in a gamified learning environment, lead to performance optimization in work, but in school we would like to motivate students for regular preparation. It can even lead to increased participation rates in class or in doing school homeworks at house. There's growing social cultural significance of games, and cooperative education is a way to share and build education among the group. So thank you very much for your attention.